Hello and welcome. My name is Jason Boswell from Micro Focus. Today we're going to talk about the file analysis suite and we're going to do another data discovery 10-minute demo. So this is going to talk about risk assessments using sampling. So this is a new feature with inside 3.4 release of data discovery on the file analysis suite. So let's first of all describe the use case. So I'd see here as the chief security officer or someone who's responsible for managing risk within inside an organization. We need to find out where our sensitive data is within inside very large file systems, could be in Teams channels, OneDrive, could be an Exchange. This data could be in the cloud or it could be on premises. But we need to get the results as quick as possible. How do we get the results as quick as possible? Well, we know that if we've got petabytes worth of data to analyze, then if we send out any analysis process, it's going to take some time to get the results back. So we're going to use a new feature called sampling, which gives us the ability to get those results much quicker. So our main use cases, we're going to do some data discovery. We want to know your data. We want to find where our sensitive data is. And the output is that we want to have a look at some of these analytics and produce some reporting so that we can use the analytics and reporting to prioritize some further actions. What will those further actions maybe? Maybe more detailed analysis, maybe some cleanup actions, or maybe some risk mitigation to protect that data. Okay, so what's the forces driving this change? So, of course, one of the key things that's driving this particular change is that we're dealing with very large volume of data, and that data is keep growing, and that data is constructs of across many different repository types and in many different locations, both, like I said, on premise or in the cloud. So organizations and our chief security officer knows that we've got to meet stricter regulations. So we've got these strict regulations and we need to meet them to really address the business pains, to protect the organization's brand and reputation, to build trust with our customers, knowing that where our dark data exists, we will find that data and protect that data. Okay, so how do we do this in the most efficient way as possible? Okay, so let's dive straight into the demonstration here and I'll show you how we do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the connect section here and we're going to make sure we're doing the quickest possible ingestion. And that's just by indexing the metadata. So let's go in here first and we're going to ask our system administrator to create the repositories. Now we can see we've got a number of different repositories here. We've got our Teams sites, Content Manager, Exchange on the file system. These are maybe across different locations, the different company offices where we've got this data. And we're going to ask particularly the key feature here is although I've got data in a cloud or in the London office here, I've got Content Manager, Exchange, file system, mixture of different repository, but the key feature here we need to add is the ability to just index the metadata first, because that's the most quick and efficient way that we can get some ingestion information. So the key feature is across each of your repositories, you need to be able to just index the metadata. So you can see on this example here, I've got my technical documents file system here, and I've just said just index the metadata. Now, just index the metadata won't tell me where the sensitive data is. This is the first stage to get an ingestion process. Once we've got the metadata across all our different repository types here, we can go straight to the manage section. So we can go straight from the connect section through into the manage section here to create some sampling of those particular workspaces. And we've got a new business process which operates as a workspace template. This business process is called risk assessment using sampling. This is a template that's provided out of the box with the system. So if I show you one, so in this example here, I've asked it to take all the files across all the repositories and do a 10% sample. So if we click on this, I'll show you how it got created. So here I'm in my risk assessment 10% sampling workspace. And you can see I've already created a data source for all my repositories. And then I don't need to do I can see the information as metadata. I will see a date timeline because we get that as a metadata. And I'll get the file types as information, but I probably won't get any tagging information until I've indexed the content. And we do that through the workbooks. So if we go straight to the workbooks on the section, we can create a data process that does our sampling. Now I've created them all for you here. So I've actually already done this, but I'll show you how they got created. So I've got sample sizes of each of those repositories. Notice that they're all different numbers because they're all different sizes of repositories. We do this through this new task option. So I click on the new task option here. We've got an additional option here called random sampling, and it's really very simple to use. Just click next, and it defaults to 10%, and what it does, it suggests that we collect 10% of each one of the repositories here. So you can see with the large repositories, we're obviously taking a larger sample size, and smaller repositories, we're going to take a smaller sample size. You may decide that we need to take a bigger sample size of certain repositories. So we get a sample size of this one, we may increase it. In all reality, these numbers, will be much bigger than this. So let's say you may say that with a repository that's got 1 million documents in, we're quite happy with 1,000 is a good enough sample size, or 10,000 is a good enough sample size. But you can adjust each one of these as much as you like to define what's the best sample size you want of each one of these repositories. Once you're happy with the sample size, you just click next, you give it a prefix, and then hit the finish, and these will be automatically created for you. In the background, what happens all for you is the system will go and do a random sample of each of those repositories and select a random sample of the files. And then it will go and do the deeper analysis. It will go and look for the credit cards. It'll go and look for the financial details. It'll go and look for the names and addresses, all the things that represents a level of risk to you. Okay, so once that's complete, you'll then be able to get the results and do the analysis. So let's go and look at another example. Here's one of my technical documents, risk assessment 10% sample. Here you can see that we've got a 16% sample size here. So a 16% we've indexed the metadata and the content. So we've done full analysis. And here most of it is just metadata. So we will see now we've got information in the tagging. So we had that date information before. So we can see of all the things that we've indexed the full content, we can see how much of that is tagged. So we can see of the sample size, 16% sample size that we found 3 items of medical data, 10 items, 10 email addresses. So there's quite a lot of email addresses in these documents, and we found 1 name. So this gives an idea of what we found, but what we really need to do is do some estimations. So, we need to predict how important this repository is, how much sensitive data it is. And we've got some additional things inside the analyze section that give us this. So here we can go straight down into the analyze section, and we've got a new dashboard to show you. This new dashboard is called the estimated sensitive data dashboard here. And now there's an extra drop down here where you can just look at a particular repository. So let's look at our technical documents file system particularly. So if I'm looking at my technical documents file system, you can see if I just hover over the top banner here, you can see that we have 37 of the 238 documents were sampled. So we've got a 16% sample size there. But of all that, 49% of the items contain a level of sensitivity. So there's some level of sensitivity. But we can see that of that level of sensitivity, there's none that are sensitive. There's none that are highly sensitive. So we were looking for just to check if there was any really high sensitive data in there that might mean we might take some protection actions. Fortunately, there isn't, and we can double check that and see what ones are contained within inside this one. So we can click on this bar and just double check this information to make sure it's correct. We can see that it's got a relatively low risk score and contains email addresses. We can see that All right, you can see the email address here. So it's just a feedback email inside some documentation, inside for some technical documentation with inside this information. So we can be confident, and there's different ways we can cut this. We can cut up the file types. They're all HTML documents of a low risk score with email addresses. So we can feed back to the team that this repository contains a low level of sensitivity. So our technical documents, we don't have to take any special actions. We can concentrate perhaps on more the financial data within inside the system to take our protection actions. So as a summary, let's go back to our homepage and see what we've done. We've been able to connect to some data, and we've been able to connect to it in a fast, efficient operation. So we've just indexed the metadata. Then through the manage action, we've done a sampling exercise. So we've random sampled just a certain percentage of our repositories and done deeper analysis on that random sample, and then used that analyze to view those results, to do some predictions about how much sensitive data is inside the whole repository to enable us to take further action. Okay, so I hope you found that enjoyable. Thanks very much, and bye for now.